There goes Claire. Deep
Hello, sweet.
there she goes. Oh, he ain't coming back.
Yep. Hello, Crystal.
What
Not
up?
sure if you're able to talk or not, but hello anyway.
Never mind me. I'm just sitting here preparing my lunch.
Mm.
About to have a real crazy conversation. Oh,
Yeah.
respectfully.
After my experience with Martin Luther King, I'm not sure I'm going to say very much.
You know this straight no chaser.
Yeah, where we go.
Before it was pushed that knife, it was straight no chaser.
NFT, what's up, fam? What's up, Deviant Bruh? What's up?
NFTs, what it do?
So,
Hey, what
Cowboy,
up?
you
What up,
behaving
bros? How's
yourself?
it going?
What's going on? Everything
Yeah,
good?
I'm great, Vincent. How about you?
Everything good. Everything good.
Nice. Name's Wyra Cody from San Francisco. I work with Coinbase. I'm a blockchain engineer.
You're
That's
an
what's up, fam. That's what's up.
engineer in San Francisco.
I'm a blockchain engineer. I work with Coinbase crypto.
Got you. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. Hey,
Respect.
Mistress, how you doing? So, yeah,
Not
basically, yeah. So, you guys into crypto or something?
Nah, I mean I am, but I ain't trying to talk about that shit right now though.
No, we already talked about that before. NFTs. So.
Oh. What about NFTs then?
Remember, you were teaching me about it, motherfucker.
Oh, you change your DP again. You always do this.
I know. All right,
Let me mic my mute.
all right. So, all right, let's get into the discussion. Do we think do do blacks use slavery as a clutch, as a crutch,
Yeah,
use it as an excuse?
yeah. Let's talk about it, dude.
Me personally, I think we do. I think we do use it as a fucking excuse sometimes.
Okay. Why you feel that way?
Well, because it's more the reason fact is every time something goes wrong, they have to have someone to blame. They'd be like, "Oh, we wouldn't be here in this situation. We would have more education if it wasn't because of the 300 years of fucking slavery that we've been through." I'm like, well, with that logic, we wouldn't have the most people that go to college are young black women. So predominantly, who goes to college the most is young black women. So by that argument, that doesn't make any sense. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I hear where you coming from, but let me ask you: do you think we there is some degree of slavery still at play right now in
And
today?
in which way? Like
Institutionalized slavery.
institutionalized? Like,
Number one, institutionalized slavery.
yeah, I believe that. Like,
The system being set up one way for one set of people and another way for others.
no, no, I don't.
No,
I don't believe that. It's
no.
it's stacked only against like a certain group of people. I believe it's stacked against everyone. You got white versus blacks, blacks versus whites. It's it's basically rich versus poor. That's how I see it. I see it rich versus the poor.
Mm. That's also out there too. But what race is amongst the poor?
Huh?
What race is amongst the poor?
It's the black people. You got Mexicans. You got not what Mexican is not a race. It's a
A pot of
you
what
got
this country would
Hispanics.
a
You
pot of
got
what this country would consider as immigrants.
uh
I said a big ass pot of a bunch of people that this country would consider as immigrants.
yeah.
right? So
Yeah,
you have. So that's just a coincidence.
I mean there are other like types of immigrants too. You got Russians, you got people from you know Ireland, you got people from other countries, Australia, people that come here on visas. Those are considered immigrants.
And how do they get treated?
They get treated the same way. If you're poor, you're poor. Nobody
Okay,
wants to.
so then a person that looks like me, that's my color, or even Hispanic, born and raised in this country,
Mhm.
don't get treated just like those people that you say that come over here from overseas.
I feel like in some parts of the country, Hispanics get treated a little bit better than black people in this country. That's just my personal opinion, and based off the stuff that I've seen.
They definitely do by creating this program called ICE, rounding up their parents and and taking their kids and leaving their parents separated from the kids. And 4 years later, they now trying to reunite some of these kids who still ain't seen their parents in 4 years. That's what's up.
But is it predominantly own like is it predominantly like main like families? Are you saying like all like because I see it sometimes some kids are being trafficked over. Some people are being trafficked over, and it's been proven that most of those families that come across are not actual like family members.
Okay, okay. Do you believe that there is when they separated the kids from their parents when they did that whole ICE movement? Do you think all those kids are reunited with their parents today, 4 years later?
Well, it's hard to tell like who's like okay if this is actually your parent. Like you got to prove like it's kind of hard to prove.
And that makes it even sound even more fucked up. But let's get back to what it is at the top. Do black people use slavery as a crutch? Respectfully, I think there's instances that you may see one that's milking it, but do I
Hmm.
feel like they, if any other race in this country earned to milk a little bit of anything, I think it would be the African Americans.
Well, what about you could say the same thing for the Jews.
Oh no 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 no!
Or you can say the same thing for the Irish
Yeah, no, he
or
didn't.
the Asians, because the Asians got treated fucking terribly too when they were over here.
I can't be the only
Can I
one on
say
this.
something? Because
Please
I'm
do.
hearing the conversation.
Huh?
So to what you guys just said, if we're talking about milking a tragedy, yes, the Irish, they do have a tragedy. You know, they had the potato famine in which it caused them to come over to America as immigrants and to be uh, looked at as immigrants, even though we all are quote unquote immigrants. You have the Asians that came over and helped worked on the railroads who were persecuted along with black people.
Mm.
Okay. You have the oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. The Jewish folk who have the Holocaust, who were, you might as well say were killed and murdered by the thousands by their own people. And yes, they have whole museums and days of observance for that. Okay, but nobody bats an eye at that. Nobody says anything, it give nobody gives that any pushback. But as soon as anybody says anything about slavery, the concept or the general consensus is, oh, you guys are living in the past, and that's that in and of itself. That in and of itself is a tool of oppression and racism by which we are being told and we are being, in some instances, forced to
Mm.
forget our history. I do not believe that slavery can be used as a crutch. It is our history, it is what we went through. Okay? Someone in your family, if you are black or have any amount of black in your family,
Mm.
was at some point a slave, and it doesn't even go back that far. You could say your great great grandfather was probably a slave. My grandfather was born in a farm on a farm in South Carolina that used to belong to his father, whose father was a slave. He got that land from his slave master and raised his family on that. So it don't even go that far back. So when people say, "Oh, it's slavery," do black people use slavery as a crutch? How fucking dare you?
But going based off that argument, that you just used, right? Were you a slave?
It's not about me directly. It's about what affects us in the long run. No, of course not. I wasn't enslaved,
Okay, so
but the
you wasn't a
foundation
slave,
that
so
was
why are
laid,
you using someone else's
because the
experience as a
foundation
slave?
that was laid before me
Mm-hmm.
is is the part of the reason why we have so many presidents set now that is pushed against me. I'm not saying, oh, I don't want to be a slave.
So basically,
This is
what he's saying
slavery.
is, man, the people before us who died for us, man, why you think they did that? They gave us so we can have some type of privilege. So now that we have some type of voice, you don't want us to use it. That's what they died for.
And the other side of that coin is the people that owned our family members. I'll say that, seeing as though I'm not going to say us, because we none of us are slaves, but the people that owned us, our family members, our ancestors
Mm-hmm.
beforehand, were the ones that were in power, and more than likely, their descendants are also in power. So even though I'm not a slave, I'm still oppressed by the people, the descendants of the people who were oppressing my ancestors. It's just in a different form, like Vincent said. There's some situational and some I forgot my word. I forgot the word I was going to use. But there's some situational things put in place in the system that we all live in. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, it doesn't just affect black people. It also affects some marginalized white people. It also affects some people of the Latino community. It also affects Asian people, and
Okay.
the majority of the reason why it affects those people in that way is part of what you were saying is right, cowboy. It is because the wealthy, I won't say the rich, because there's a lot of rich people out there, but none of them have that generational wealth that some of the people that are in these positions of power have. Because the reason why they have that generational wealth is because their ancestors were those slave owners that were making money off of our ancestors who were slaves and have passed down that wealth from generation to generation to generation to be in the power that they have now. So now we have the system where these people who were owning us back in the 17 and 1800s. Well, not so much the 1800s, but you know what I'm saying. Uh, Back then, now their family is in control, and even though they can't control us the way that they were, because now it is put place by the government that it is unconstitutional to own a slave. They've gotten more inventive in how they run us, how they control us, how they separate us to keep us from being unionized so that we destroy ourselves from the inside. You brought up something about black women being uh going to college. The reason why black women go to college more so than black men is because there are also more black men in jail than black women.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
So black women are going to school because
Yeah,
they're
but do
being
we not
taught
have
and
a
they're being
higher
told.
expectation for our black women?
Say that
It's not
over.
about it's not about higher expectation, because if that was the case, then all black children will go to college if they could afford it. But there are situations, there are programs that are put in place, whereas yes, Black people do have a lot of things in their in their hands now. That a lot of tools in their hands now where they can make a difference. But we have to work, and I'm speaking about Black people. We have to work twice as hard to get half as much as what the privilege already have.
Well,
Period.
what would
And
you,
I'm gonna land right
who
there.
has the privilege then?
Well, real quick, let me do a quick reset. I just want to say
Okay.
welcome to everybody that's in the club. Straight no chase. We definitely appreciate everybody that's down in the audience. If you do want to come up, please just raise your hand. You don't have to say nothing if you don't want to, but if you do want to chime in, you can. Welcome to the room, my man Russ. The topic pretty much is just straightforward, man. Do black people use slavery as a crutch? When we are discussing why you hear one that say, well, they don't have a job or they can't do this or they can't do that, is because what I'm saying, the man is holding them down. And you gotta is it do we say that that person is using it as a crutch, or do you look at it as that's if they use it as a crutch, so be it. That don't erase the history or the facts.
Right.
So I land there. Let's go.
But I would like to say thank you everyone for coming in and supporting my man Vince. Well, we was having this discussion earlier. Um, uh, at least we were having the respect for one earlier. And I just wanted to kind of like see other people's opinions because when I'm on this app, I see black people on this app talking about street violence and stuff, and not what's actually going on in the black community, what we should be focusing on. So thank you guys for coming out and having these type of discussions.
Yeah, this is my man Cowboy. This is his title right here, but I like it. You know what I'm saying? I really want to hear what people's opinions is respectfully.
But collector, if you would like to continue your point, man, I would like to really hear.
I mean, I made my point. I landed with that. But I mean, if you want to rebut it, I'm more than willing to go there with you.
Oh yeah. What was the last thing you said, my brother?
Before you hit the soft reset, I was saying that Black people will have to work twice as hard to get
Mm-hmm.
half as much as the privileged and the wealthy. And and I'm
That's
saying
a
it
fact.
that way because I don't want to quote unquote you I don't want to, even though we kind of making it about race, I don't always want to make it about race
Yeah.
because
No. 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 No.
there are
Yeah.
some
I
wealthy
see it.
people who are not white, but I'll just leave it that way. I'll say the privileged
But
and the wealthy.
well, let me ask the wrong this. Do he make a point though that some of our people do use that shit as a crutch though? It ain't like he lying. You know what I'm saying?
I
I
don't
mean,
think
shit.
I don't think he lying. And Mr. Season, I'm gonna give my time to you. I just want to say I don't think he's necessarily lying, but I think like in all demographics, there are a small portion in which you'll find that there's a rotten element in it, and I release them. I give my time to Mr. Steven.
Okay, I just have a clarifying question. Um, what does using slavery as a crutch look like today in 2022? Just give me one example of what that would look like. And that could be anybody on the stage.
Well, I'm gonna say it like this. It really hasn't changed from 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like if let's say I told my little brother, right, and I say, man, you go down there to the MTA and put an application in, man, they're gonna get they hiring. That's a good job. You get in, you pass the drug test, you in. And the first thing this fool says is, they ain't hiring no niggas up there. You know how this shit go. You know that's how the system is fixed against us. You know what I'm saying? It always go to that. It always go to that. This is the reason why they can't, or they don't, or won't. Because that's pretty much what my man was saying. And I was like, that's an interesting point because I know I done heard that a few times from a few people that I'm around. But I don't really pay it no never mind because, I mean, it's not like he lying to a degree. He just may be over exaggerating that situation. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, so yeah, just for clarity, you're saying the person that is using our circumstances as black people, to be lazy or to not go out and be a go-getter. I guess that's a better way to put it, a prettier way to
Absolutely.
put it.
Yes,
Um,
basically, yeah.
is okay. So that is what you mean by we're using slavery as a crutch or using something that's not happening to them technically. Slavery, I guess. Right now. So okay, I have clarity on that. Let me stew on that for just a minute and process that. And hello, Mark. Welcome to the stage. Um, and I'll land here. Thank you.
We can go popcorn. Anybody want to pick up on that, man? Do we use or do our people use slavery as a crutch?
Now, I'm not saying. Now, let me be more specific. I'm not saying that slavery is not an issue, but what I'm saying is there are some people like in my generation that will be using that, just throwing that shit out all willy nilly, you know, so they could be like, oh, they won't hire me because I'm black, or they won't hire me because of this reason or this reason, and it's always something to do with their skin color or the how this country is so racist. Like I can't get behind, like, you just automatically that's the first thing you go to.
But I mean, the country is racist. So, because the person brings it up doesn't make it any less true. And if they feel like, or to whomever it is, if you go somewhere or whatever you do, you know, I mean, I'm not going to just put something over to the side because, you know, if a person is lazy, they lazy. It doesn't make the statement any less true.
Hmm.
If they're trying to overcome something and all of that, it doesn't make it any less true. Racism is running rampant in this country, and it's always been that way. So is that not true?
So is it more racist? Is it more racist now than it was back when our grandfathers and great grandfathers were getting lynched?
I
Hold on, cowboy. I want you to hold that question. I heard that question, but I do want you to actually acknowledge and answer the question that Russ asked you. Is that not true?
What that this country is racist?
Russ, would you like to clarify that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you're making a statement, or whomever it is that's making a statement, even though well, this if whoever said it that if I do this, that, and the third, then it is they ain't hiring or whatever it is because the country's racist. Is it racist?
I
That's the
don't believe this
question.
country is racist.
You
I
don't
don't.
think so?
No.
See, that's where the disconnect.
That
Yeah.
so just so I can just understand that. Why do you feel that this country is not racist? Like, why do you feel that way?
I don't believe it's racist because we have the same opportunities as the next race does. As a Mexican does, as a white person does, as another black person does. I believe everyone has the same opportunities in this country. It's all about who's going to take it.
That's not true. We can't walk into a bank right now and get a
Why
loan.
not?
But a Mexican, because the game has been set up where everybody else but but a black American has a better chance of getting a loan. Look who owns the 7-Elevens. Look who owns all the gas stations. Look who owns all these businesses. They come over from this country. They come over to this country, get a 7-year loan right off the break to start a business. We can't do that if we are an American with a black American with a social security card. That's a
That's why
fact. That's
that's
a
why I
fact.
say we focus on our country and not other countries.
Hold on. No, no,
We
wait,
focus
wait.
on our country and not other countries.
No,
But
no. No, no,
but
wait, wait. Let me finish. Let me
go ahead, go ahead,
finish.
go ahead.
Let them
Those are
land.
pe-
Let
Go
them
ahead.
land.
those are people from other countries coming here
Yeah.
getting those loans. People who were born here of of slavery descent cannot get that same loan without going through every hoop, every every negative thing, and have to prove twice as hard that we can pay the loan, two, afford the loan, and what's the loan for. They don't ask those questions of the person coming from India, the person coming from the Middle East, the person coming from Europe. They don't ask those questions. They give them that 7-year loan. And what they do is that they bring their family over and they put their family in the same house and help their family get another business. I know personally from where I used to live at in Edison, New Jersey, they took over a whole side of town doing that. So when you say that this country is a racist, it may not be racist in theory, but against the descendant of African slaves, it is racist as hell. And with that, I'll land.
Sorry, I'm eating. My bad.
Well put. Well put.
Well, I mean, I say it like this, when it comes to whether you're getting a loan or not, you know what I mean, is not really whatever on whatever rate. I mean, I'm talking about just you walking down the street. Everybody ain't going to get no loan. So if you're just walking down, just you being black, period, and the amount of black people that get murdered and shot, all that other, that's the stuff I'm talking about. Whether or not I get a loan, which is true, you know what I mean? But I look at it as when if you feel that, well, you can do anything in the world. Well, if you feel that, you know what I mean? If you think so, I don't really think that. I think it sounds good to say that, and it maybe looks good on paper, but when it comes to it actually transpiring, because we can see it in everything that we have. You tell me what major supermarket, wherever you live at, is owned by black people. I can tell you
Fact.
zero. You tell me what vehicle you've ever seen or heard about in your life that's Subaru and Honda, Mercedes, none of it. We don't own any
Big
of that.
fact.
So then you shift over and say, well, the major Fortune 5 companies or any type of fast food, we don't own none of that shit. However, we spend our money at these places. We go to these institutions. We buy Tims and Jordans and all this
You
other
spend your
crazy
money
shit.
on
That
bullshit. That's
yo,
not.
but even if it ain't bullshit, we don't own that either. So even if it ain't bullshit, if you going to buy a power saw or want to buy whatever it doesn't matter. The point is that we don't own anything. Well, why is that? Why is that? We've been free for 150 years. And if all the opportunity, if it's all even across the board, and all the major corporations, not talking about mom and pop spots, I'm talking about corporations. We don't own none of that shit. Why is that? The powers that be. Why is it that in any major sport, football, basketball, none of that shit, there's only one black man that's the majority owner, that's Michael Jordan. Well, why is that? The most athletes are fucking black. They don't want us in the group. So either we, hey, that's just what I. So that to me, the evidence is right there. Well, I mean, well,
Why
hell,
don't you
if it
put?
was
Why?
even
Then why don't we put our money
Can't
into
can't
stuff
argue
like
the
that?
facts.
Why don't we put our money into stuff like that?
so let me.
They don't want us at the table, bro. That's what you're not understanding. They don't want us at the table. In order to be an owner, we got to buy it. They're not going to sell it to us. That's the problem. They don't want to sell it to us. Diddy tried to buy the Carolina Panthers with a group that came up with $6 billion. No, they told him no. Only reason why Michael Jordan owns the Charlotte team is because he's making the NBA and the other 29 owners, all who are white, money. That's why they did it. They don't want us at the table breaking bread
All right.
with them.
Well, let me ask you this. So, what do you think Jay Z over here? What's his move? What you think he doing with Rock Nation and partnerships with the NFL? Would you think that's a movement for us, or what do you think that is?
It may be a power play to get in, but they're not letting him buy a team yet. Now, when they let him buy a team, then I'll say okay. But right now, I just think they're trying to appease us by saying, "Oh, look, we're cool with Jay Z." That's how it looks to me. Now, I don't know
Yeah, I agree
I
with
don't know
that.
what his power play is, but I think it's just to appease the masses. Okay, we got this black man who's interested. We're gonna work with him. Come
Now,
on.
now, should we give Hov the benefit of the doubt? Or should we say, nah, there's some funny shit going on over there? Because that's what's interesting when he made the move he made, he was doing the moves he was doing, boy, it was all over the place on who supported and who thought it was some Illuminati this, Illuminati that. Do he deserve the benefit of the doubt?
I mean, I think that, well, like a lot of Jay's moves, man, just to keep it a buck, is really about Jay. You know what I mean? That's usually numero uno when it comes to the moves that he makes, and Dame will tell you that. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, all right, let me see if what he's saying. I mean, I didn't really care for. He was kind of undercutting Cap a little bit. We gotta get past. Well, bruh, I mean, you can build from that, not just discredit that whole movement, which is kind of like what he did. In order to position yourself in a certain position in a certain point, fact is that in order for you to be an owner, you have to be approved by the other owners. If they decide they don't want you to come in and buy a team, I don't care how much money you got. You know what I mean? No. Well, I got so and so. No. So now, if you had to position yourself, because right there, if it's even and across the board, and there are wealthy black folks that are around that can come together and say we're going to go and purchase a team, or we'll just create a team in a city and then put it in the NFL. No, we ain't doing that. But then some of the problem comes in at as well. Is that even legal? Well, the good old, because if you look at it how it is in the NFL and other sporting teams, that's how it is in business too. You don't get put on the board at the New York Stock Exchange. You don't get in unless they allow you to be in. You see what I'm saying? Well, if you on from an ownership perspective, not being an employee, not working for somebody else, which is a lot of people that's in these labels that you don't own. They'll give you a label and allow you to put some music out there, which is why people be like, "Oh man, they putting whatever." We was talking about black folks going back to Africa. They try to shut it down. Listen, they own the labels. You don't own anything. There's very few people, if you look at back of what they actually own. And oh well, so and so got his own label. Yeah, but who owns that? Oh well, actually, it's owned by Universal, which is owned by so and so, which is owned by so and so. Follow the money. Businesses will put something out, and because we don't bother looking or doing any type of investigation about shit that's out there, we don't know who owns what.
Yeah,
But
but
I know,
we'll put our money into a bunch of other nonsense like fucking organizations that don't give two shits about us.
yeah,
Well, you see, Ice Cube got the blueprint. Ice Cube said, "Fuck it, I'll build my own league."
and I
That's
love
what it
that,
said.
and that's why I
That's what
support the
we have
big
to do.
three. But most black people don't even watch it.
I know. That's a damn shame. Cause he doing what he's
So his
supposed to
shit is
do.
on the ropes, and then they're about to shut down. Because people it's a brilliant idea,
Fucking
brilliant.
brilliant, brilliant, and niggas don't even
And
see it.
that's how we play
But
basketball
when it comes,
anyway.
Crazy.
We usually play basketball like that anyway. We don't, you know, just like
You missing the play. Like that's the play. Like nigga, that shit opened up young entrepreneurs' eyes. Like nigga, that nigga said, "Fuck trying to get into their fraternity. I'm gonna just do my own thing." And it kicked off great. And like he said, we don't support
when it comes to us and supporting something from us, we have
We
this
don't
thing,
support
and
our own black businesses, which is
we
crazy.
we don't support to a certain extent. We'll give you some support for a little bit, and then we shift on to something else. Folks is wearing FUBU, and then that became quote unquote out of style. People
it.
was wearing Fat Farm and cross colors and Carl Kanai,
Exactly.
but but there are brands like Levi's been around for goddamn 150
But that's how
years.
they tricked us, man. We gotta have the hottest, latest, greatest, shiniest
but
fucking
we wear
thing.
Gucci and Fendi, and they don't even want us to wear the
But
shit.
even what I
That's what
Oh,
I.
yes,
and also Nike and all this other stuff claiming they for black people got all these BLM shit, and then will easily sue your ass if you get caught with it. Like there's a black businesses that like take Nike shoes and they'll like customize it, and then the whole black business got sued.
well, I mean, but
Because that's a
that's like
popular
that's
infringement.
yeah, you're like modifying intellectual property. You can't, because I wouldn't want somebody to put out, if you got some clothes and then Nike says, well, shit, that's these some hot shoes. Let's just repaint them and put them back. You can't do that.
No, like
I
he
got
didn't
that.
repaint them.
Just
Like what he did was, I mean, like it had the Nike symbol on it, but like
Right.
he
He had to get
he like
permission.
you
I don't
you,
know.
you
I don't know if you've seen it. Did you remember the Little Nas X music video
yeah,
when he
I
had
know what you're
the
talking about. Yeah, I'm aware of what you're talking about.
yeah? I was like, well,
But I'm saying though, man, you can't use anybody else's intellectual property and then get mad if they sue you. That's not how the law works. You see what I'm saying? Just make another shoe.
Right.
You don't have to make a fucking Nike. Just make another shoe.
That's why.
You see what I'm saying? If you that locked in and all that, not bite somebody else's pattern, just make another shoe. But the problem is, if you come out, here's our problem. You come out with a shoe that's by black people, for all that stuff, it ain't gonna go so far. Because then you got other people, the people that are the influencers and the Kanye West and all the other motherfuckers. Kanye can stop doing deals with Nike. He can stop today.
He
Put
could
out
if
your
he
own
wanted
shit.
to.
But see, that's the problem. And the problem comes in is that we're too busy supporting these huge franchises, these huge corporations, and we don't have a chip on the table. There are
Really
people
don't.
that are in key positions that can make things click, make things happen, can make it go. But we shift off things so quickly, and I mean, I love it, but then I don't like it at the same time. Our lingo, our hairstyles, our clothes, our music, all of that, we give it a couple of years, and then what's the next thing? What's the next new thing?
Late,
Brothers
great.
ain't wearing no Jerry curls no more. People ain't going, yeah, right on, brother. Can you dig it? People don't talk like that anymore because our
I
language
mean,
shifts to something else. And
I
in
mean,
the same regard, if you put out a product, I don't care how hot that product is, black people are only going, even if they support it, it's only gonna go for a couple of years, and then they're gonna switch off from that to something else.
like I grew up in the country, and like we still like we're like the same shit, talk the same, wear the same shit. I mean, I guess it's
Yeah,
just like, oh, because like we
but you
don't
got
we don't like follow we don't follow like mainstream media, like we don't follow like the newest trends and stuff, because we just be ourselves. And I feel like, everyone just wants to be better than the next person, so they gotta follow the hottest trends and shit like that.
let me let
Yeah,
me
we
let me
do. Go ahead.
let me break this down to you, cowboy. The easiest way to understand it is when they could not enslave us physically anymore, they figured out how to enslave us mentally. Fashion, money, and women are the quickest way to influence a black man to do whatever he has to do to get those three things. So they put they put drugs in the city, they put guns in the city. They got the videos out there. You never seen a video with a woman who was not attractive in a video. Never. That's how they trapping us now. It's not so when he says is this a racist country and is slavery still around? Yeah, it is. It's just not physical slavery, it's mental. Because some of us cannot get out of our own way. You know, like Russ said,
Well, then
you
who
can't
fault
walk
would
up.
that be then? Would it be the
Say that again.
or whose fault would that be then?
Whose fault? It's our own fault. But we don't have everybody is not emotionally intelligent to understand the game.
No,
Some people are
no,
still playing
hold on, Mark.
checkers. What,
No, I believe us black people, we are very fucking smart. We are very smart.
Hold on.
We just play. Sometimes we play stupid games and win stupid prizes.
No, no. Let me tap back in for a minute. I was
go ahead.
trying to
Go
order.
ahead.
I
Collector.
was trying to order my food.
Go
So
ahead,
here's
brother.
the thing. There are a lot of us that have defeatist attitudes. Okay, and
Hmm.
part of the reason why we have defeatist attitudes is because of the environment that we grew up in. When you have someone that lives in an impoverished neighborhood whose grandmother or whose mother lived in the same house as their grandmother, whose grandmother lived in the same house as their great grandmother, and they don't own the house. It's a house that's given to them by the government, and they don't know who their father is because their father was not allowed to live in that house because the government states that this is for a certain demographic of person, and the father maybe isn't necessarily the best person in the world. We'll
Hmm.
say that. And then they there's they live in a food desert, so where they go to get food isn't necessarily close to them. They have to go out of their neighborhood to go get food, and the prices for in which they get fresh fruit and vegetables, because that was something that you brought up the other day, you brought up earlier, is astronomical. So then they can't afford to get that. So, they can only afford to eat what they can afford to eat, which is, things that are not necessarily that healthy. Like all these things play into that defeatist attitude. They can't get
Mhm.
a job because all the good jobs are not in their neighborhood. They got to travel. And as someone who has traveled 2.5 hours to go work outside of my city for a good job just to make a little bit over $10 an hour, I can testify to that. So
Man,
when you
man,
have all now, fortunately, I was raised in a household where I had both my mother and my father, and they raised me to not have to depend on anyone, to have to depend on myself. But that is not the norm for most people of color.
yeah,
So when you live in that type of environment and you are faced with those type of setbacks and challenges, I do not blame anyone for having a defeatist attitude because the outcome is bleak.
hmm
So when you say, "Oh, we have the same uh things as everybody else do," we do not. We do not. There's systemic oppression and racism in this country, and if you believe that this country is not racist, that's your opinion. That's fine. I would like to respectfully say bullshit on that.
hmm
Respectfully.
respectfully.
Respect,
Okay, I'm
respectfully.
not okay.
Okay.
Uh,
This system
I'm
is
asking
not
a simple
set up
question.
for
I'm asking
anyone.
good.
I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna land. The system that is in this country is a capitalist system, and it is not set up for anyone who is living in a marginalized environment or anyone that is not already set up to be wealthy or have generational wealth. I'm gonna use that word again, generational wealth, and I'm gonna
Mm,
land with that.
all right, mate. Okay, if you guys don't mind me asking, where'd you guys grow up at? Did you guys grow up in the inner city, country, city, suburban areas,
Both.
City.
I
city,
grew up in the inner city, and then
inner
I moved
city?
to the country and
All
moved
right,
back to the city.
all right. See, me, I grew up in the country, so I grew up around a lot of poor people. Doesn't matter if you're white, green, purple, orange. Everyone was poor, and I seen the police brutalize everyone. That's why I say I don't really see how this country's racist when they do the same thing to the same people, like their own people, and marginalized people too. I just see it as people abusing their power.
Okay.
Well,
Well, could
You
I
have
ask you a question?
go ahead.
Just real quick. So, do you believe that the United States of America, the Constitution, that you know for what it is and what it seems to be, represents everybody?
Uh, yeah,
Yes or no? Yes or
yeah,
no?
I do.
Okay.
okay. I'm gonna
I,
give you a
I
history
might,
lesson real quick.
I
Go ahead,
might
Vincent.
need
I'm
to.
sorry.
Wait, who was saying something?
Cowboy. The Constitution was written when the black man was considered to be 3/5 of a man. We were property when this was written.
Talk to him.
Hmm
This wasn't
I
written
I
for
know
us.
I know I know how the
Hold
Constitution
on,
works.
hold
I
on.
know I know.
So when they freed us in 1965, they created the police to arrest us for loitering because there was no loitering law before 1965. But
Hmm
because we could not find a job after we were freed, they figured, okay, we'll lock them up and put them back into the plantation, which they call prison, and that's what they're doing now.
hmm
They they putting us in jail for they putting us in jail for stuff that our counterparts. You can get caught with a nickel bag of crack and get 10 years. A white person can get caught with 100 pounds of cocaine and get 5. That's where the system is all screwed up. That's why it wasn't for us. We didn't create the drug trade. We didn't create the gun trade. We didn't create all these systems. And you said you're from the country. You
Yeah.
haven't seen the projects in the inner cities that are 30 stories high and have 10 buildings, 10 apartments on each floor. People got to walk up the steps because they broke the elevators. They pissed in the elevators. They beating each other up in the elevators. They having sex in the elevators. So why would I expect my grandmother to walk up 30 flights of steps to get to her apartment because they don't care enough to fix the elevators because they know all the people who lived there did was tear them up. See, they created the mindset, as the collective was saying, the defeatist mentality. They kept us in cages with one of those high rises, which some are still in New York. There's still some in some inner cities, and
Hmm.
they giving us the mentality that we can't go anywhere. Now, if we all had the same opportunity, why do we still have people who think that they can't get a job and they just as qualified as somebody else?
I
That's
want
the
to.
pro- Go ahead, go ahead.
I didn't say
Oh
anything.
no,
I was
that
waiting
was
for
that was
you to
me.
explain.
I'm sorry. And hello, Mark again. Um, so
Hey,
I wanted
mister.
to say this. I did this story reminds me really quickly, Vincent, of the story that you just mentioned. But Vincent, before I go, did you want to do a quick reset for those in the audience?
Yes, I do. Welcome to the club, Straight No Chaser. We definitely appreciate you being here, and I also want to say this: if you, we don't ask you to be politically correct, anything in here, just shoot from the hip, speak how you feel. All we ask is to be respectful to one another, let each other speak. When the women are speaking, definitely let the women speak. If you're down in the audience, you want to come up, just raise your hand. We'll bring you up, no problem. But we do really appreciate you guys being here, listening to this discussion. It is a discussion that I think a lot of people talk about behind closed doors. Some talk in public, but it is something that is very talked about. And I appreciate my man Cowboy for bringing up the topic. And I definitely was interested in it, so I appreciate you doing that. And I'm gonna land right there. Whoever want to pick up the mic, you got it. I'm mute my mic.
Okay. So you mentioned the story about your friend that wouldn't get the job, which reminds me of my very close friend who hmm, is a black woman, um, paid her way through school to get her master's degree. On top of that, some really, really rigorous and difficult tests to get particular licensures for for a very big company. She finally gets in, and a lot of people can't even get past the first round. And she gets through the entire thing, and she gets in the class, and she's the only black woman that's in the class, with a few white women and some white men. She's in the class, and haphazardly, one of the white men, or one of the, well, white women, actually mentioned what they were making, and she said, "Excuse me, what are you making?" And the woman repeated it again, and then the white guy starts laughing because then he mentions how much he's making. Now he's making more, of course, right? And then so my friend asked, "Well, oh, so what kind of degree do you have?" And the white woman said, "Oh, I don't have, I have a bachelor's. I think that's what she said. I have like a bachelor's or something like that." So she sat there stunned because here she is, actually overqualified for this particular position and getting paid less than anyone in the room, because and Anne was offered, and this is with her negotiating, going, "No, that's too low," and they said, "This is the highest we're going to offer you." So she's overqualified for this position, and they're paying the white people less qualified for the position. They're paying them more money, right? And so again, there's an issue with the system. Oh, and I want to say that they underpaid her about 40K.
Mm.
Mm.
Oh damn! Like I don't know, man. I don't know because I've always gotten paid the same. I've always paid people the same. You know, working on the farm, it's everyone. You work the same, you get the same thing. We treat you the same. I don't know.
Well,
I
unless
guess
you
because I
know
maybe
what
I haven't had those big racial life experiences that other people have had, or maybe I'm just too fucking naive to see the shit that's going on in this world. But
How old are you, cowboy?
I'm 22, about to be 23.
Oh yeah, you haven't. You haven't seen nothing yet. That's you are a 22-year-old who hasn't experienced everything yet. So we can understand why your mindset is because you just haven't experienced life yet. Because the things that you guys have at this stage, we couldn't even think about having when I was 22 years old. At 22, we were still walking around with beepers and cell phones that looked like phasers from Star Trek.
Well,
So
but look. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up very fucking poor. Didn't have much, man. Was living from a fucking bag in a car. Then my grandpa let us move in. We drove all the way from South Carolina to Texas. Stayed down there for a bit. My grandpa passed away. I started working on his farm when I was 14, and I still haven't left there yet. I'm still been working there for the longest. I've been beaten, fucking mentally abusing shit, all types of shit. So I've been through a lot of shit in life. I've come across people that use certain shit as fucking excuses, and I don't know whether to be like I guess I just don't have sympathy for most people.
Well, I think that if your experience is, if I had whatever experience that I had, because I grew up in Michigan, you know, and it wasn't until I left Michigan and I found out that, you know what, the even to the stores aren't the same when I go, 5 hours this way or 5 hours that way. Things are different. You see what I'm saying? So if from where you grew up and your experiences, because age is something that, because you can experience a lot depending on who you are and where you live at. Because age is relative, but if your
Yeah,
experiences are ones that where hey, where you grew up and who you were around, that bracket or that circle of people in that area that you were in, there wasn't a whole lot of that. So based on your experiences, that makes sense. Because a lot of people, if you haven't lived in different places, not visit, lived, then your mentality can be a little bit different. So if you live in, like extremely different. Like I'm talking about you go from the West Coast to East Coast, or you go from America to, freaking Brazil or whatever it is. There's a different walk of life and different brackets of people and how they interact with people. That may not be you. You see what I'm saying? So I think that to say, well, I don't believe that it doesn't exist is one thing. Then maybe you have yet to experience racism. Maybe you haven't experienced that yet. Maybe you haven't. I mean, there are people here. I heard Lil Wayne say he don't believe in that. But hey, if that's what how you live, how you grew up, and who you were around or who you weren't around. If being on a farm, I don't really know what that's like. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, maybe you don't know what it's like to live in a project or live in a city. You see what I'm saying? It's just different. So I think that when you make a statement, I think maybe if the wording it'll come off a little better if it's like, well, hey, listen, in my lifetime, this is what I've experienced. If it does exist, I haven't experienced it. If you're a person that ain't never been to jail, then you never experienced it, what it's like being in jail. So you don't know or whatever you like saw on TV or whatever. Everybody had different experiences. If you're going to college, not going to college. When I was 17, I left home. I joined the Marine Corps. That was my choice to get out of the hood. Now, I think sometimes because I don't want to put it all on the white man, because there is some responsibility that falls on us as well. And when it comes of us being together as black people, which is something that we don't do, it ain't got nothing to do with the white man or me supporting or helping you. You see what I'm saying? That ain't got nothing to do with, yeah, I got it. You go to a corporation, you pay $40,000 less, got that. But when it comes to you spending your money and it comes to putting your dollars in different places, different things, where is that going? And if there's somebody out there that's trying to do X, Y, and Z, are you assisting and helping that person, or are you putting money back in to the white man's hands or whatever have you not. So that's kind of how I look at it when it comes to. I don't put everything. There's a lot and it's set up. Got it. But if we know that it's set up, and I just told you about the Ice Cube's three, basketball league that brothers don't watch. White man ain't stopping you from doing that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? There's nobody preventing you from supporting. So I don't go all the way to the left, because there is a level of responsibility when it comes to us. When it comes to
Hmm.
the fact that if you look into these black neighborhoods and we stuff that we don't own in our own neighborhood, that's the beauty shop, the liquor stores. We don't own none of that shit. You see what But we don't seem to be complaining about that. So
Hmm.
to me, in my opinion, I
Well,
feel that.
and then that was another point that I wanted to make. How
Go ahead.
come you always complaining not owning stuff, but then you don't own anything in your community? That's another point that I wanted to bring up, but you already brought it up. You
Well,
already
I
answered my
think
question
that
for me.
I think to me, in my opinion, in my experience, it's a bottom line of us coming together as a people, as a community, and that's something that we don't really do. You know, there's moments in history that we have, but overall, we don't really have that. We don't really. There's not much. There's not a quote unquote black leaders. All the other things like the structure is off. So when
Hmm.
that's off, you don't have a person. If you don't have anybody that's leading, people just roam around and do whatever they want.
Hmm.
And there's no cohesiveness when it comes to like,
No, ma'am, I'm sorry.
but that's all, man. I just think that it just perspective, what we've lived through, what we have. I don't feel that black folks are come together for the most part, and I can go down the line at whatever point in history you want to pinpoint. They ain't got nothing to do with the white man. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So we can blame some of it, a lot of it, but not all of it, and that's what I think.
So,
yeah,
hey, let me ask you, Rush. Do you think it's possible that we need to get back to policing our own people, and that's what the major problem is?
Well, I think part of that, yeah, and I think that with if we're in a point of put it to you like this, all right now I live in LA. If somebody said they're from my hometown, from Ann Arbor, Michigan, I would hire that dude or woman immediately. I don't care how qualified you are. Why? Because you from my hometown. You see what I'm saying? We don't really do that. You know, we rather bicker and fight over positions and jostle around and what you doing. And, oh man, I ain't trying to do that. Man, bump all that. Yo, this brother right here, you need some help. If you're gonna put in the work, I will give you the opportunity. And if the rest is on you. If you want to work here at the open network, okay, cool. I ain't just gonna just tell you that it's all just come on in. Hey man,
but I feel
I'm
like
a
that's the
provider.
difference in the black community versus other communities. Like in the fucking Mexican community, I mean, in the Latino community or in the Asian community, they'll can give them a job super quick.
Well, I
Doesn't
just think
matter.
that we don't really have a lot of cohesive and unity. But I do know, other than other races of people, they also were enslaved either. So I can't ignore that. You see what I'm saying?
What are
And
you saying?
so
You saying they were not enslaved?
no, hold on. The difference between my dream is to go to America. A lot of us that were here, that wasn't the plan. You see what I'm
Mm,
saying? So it's
yeah.
it's a different mentality. If your great great grandfather, speaking upon other people, their goal was to get here.
Mm,
That was the dream, is to be in America and you're free and all that, as opposed to we went through centuries of slavery. That's a long time, bro.
That's
Them
what I
yeah.
was
then
trying to
then
say.
then then after that ended, they didn't want that to end. Abraham Lincoln didn't want to free the slaves. How you gonna free slaves if you own slaves? But whatever. He was forced. He even said out of his own mouth, if I could do this without freeing the slaves, I would.
He would.
But
Mm-hmm.
but I will say this: when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863 and all that, and it took 2 years for it to get around to everyone. That's why we got Juneteenth. But whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say 1865. So from that point to today, there's so many other things because so many people, because it had gone on for so long. But when it came to us supporting us, that ain't got nothing to do with the white man. Us supporting us, if in our own communities, and to answer, this what you have said, yeah, getting in, policing our own communities and having support in our own communities. No, you can't come in. No, you're not bringing
What
this
do you
business
think
in
about
here.
us supporting some of these fucking policies that is hurting us the most?
Well, I think, and when I say education, it doesn't have to be necessarily in college.
No,
But I
I'm
think there's a
talking about
well,
just
no,
in
no, no,
general,
no,
any
no, no. But
policy.
I'm going to answer you. But I think when there's a lack of education, and there's things that we don't talk about in our community.
Mm,
I can walk in a barber shop anywhere, wherever you live at. Whatever's the local barber shop, the brother get their hair cut. I can walk into that barber shop, point to the brother, and say, "Hey, man, what's your portfolio looking like?" Probably, not saying that it is, but probably I probably wouldn't get much of an answer. Same barbershop, same dude. I can say, "Hey, man, how many points did Michael Jordan score in the 1996 finals?" Oh man, it was like that. You see what I'm saying? We put focus on shit that don't matter. But the things that do matter, we don't even talk about it. We don't talk about money as far as like, like for real.
mm-hmm.
The real money. We
Yeah,
don't really have those conversations. And if somebody's talking about something, it's all about hustling, I'm doing it. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about when it comes to stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and blah, 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 how the world ticks. We don't have to necessarily, like, we're sitting down playing a game of Monopoly and we don't know the rules. So the likelihood of winning that game is probably low because you don't know the rules. You
yeah,
have to be able to learn the rules in order to get around different things and to maneuver. That's what I think. So
yeah.
I just want to jump in and say, welcome to the room, Nicole, Police, Deviant, Lewis. Welcome to the room. If anybody want to chime in on this topic, we appreciate it. Everybody that's in the audience, if you want to come up, there you go. There you go. Raise your hand, come up. Please touch on the topic. If you like what you're hearing, you want to join the club, click the greenhouse at the top. We definitely appreciate it. I'm gonna go ahead and mic my mute right there. You got it.
Okay. Here's a. Well, I know. I
Can you
know.
give a reset to the room before you get off mic again?
Say what?
A reset to the room. Like, how did this all come about?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
it
go
was
ahead, Cowboy.
Go ahead. You explain it.
You know,
It's your room.
when we was no Cowboy, I'm gonna go ahead and give you flowers. I don't know what we was talking about, but we got on this topic, and then he pretty much asked that question, and we talked about it a little bit in the room. But I said that's a great topic, so we just wanted to bring it to the table and hear what everybody said because he did make a good point. Because I know,
Oh, I remember. I remember what it was about because
yeah.
I was in a room earlier today, and me I have two accents. Sometimes I can sound very like preppy, and then I can have to sound very country, depending on the people that I'm around. And they were like, "Well, you're not black enough. You're whitewashed, and you know all this other stuff." Because I sounded very country, and I was like, "That's not our culture. That's not black culture." And I was just kind of like, "Wow, okay then. Well, I guess I'm not black enough to be in this lobby," and I left. And then I was telling him about it, and then I was like, why does it have to be an excuse for me not to be in your room, like in someone's room? But yeah, that's how that happened.
And
But
then
the
boom,
topic says, do blacks use slavery as a crutch?
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
really
yeah.
us talking
Yeah,
about.
it
So
was
how
just
did
like us rambling, and then I'm a very curious person. I'm just a very curious person, and I was just I wanted to ask something controversial, you know. So that's the question that I came up with.
basically, like he's saying, we use slavery for every little thing, like every little excuse. We can't accomplish this just because of the system holding us down. The system against, you know what I'm saying, this or that, that and the third. Just like it's a crutch. Like this is something we go to. Like, are we overdoing it? Like we are a lot better than we were before, and he still considers that is used as an excuse. That needs to die.
Um,
And it's interesting because I've heard that on here months ago before, literally, like he said. So I'm like, yeah, maybe we do need to talk about that. You know, I do. I know people personally who do, so I'm not even gonna fucking sit in front and act like I don't. You know what I'm saying? But I don't go as deep as he do because I also understand our history. And That's why I asked my man Russ that question. Like, do you think we need to go back to policing our own people to get that stigma out of our people head who don't know? Like where he at, he has like Russ said earlier, he has no idea, or whoever said, he has no idea what's going on where we at, where he at. We live in the inner cities. I'm from Compton, California.
Right? Like, they're in the inner city. I'm in the country, so
Man,
it's a
you don't
difference.
know what the fuck going on in Compton, California. You don't know what we going through, the politics we go through there. You don't know nothing about that. He talking about where he at. He got to also understand that this is a huge world. You
Right?
know what I'm saying? So this little niche, that's why I love Clubhouse, because it shows you that too. Our little niche is just our little niche. But you have to look broader. And you do need to do your homework a little bit on the culture. So you will be aware. And when you make the, when you feel or you want to ask those type of questions, you did enough research and looking into it to where you could feel comfortable saying something against what you know the normal is in this country.
Yeah, but you also, this is how I see it. You also got to make those. You got to also have those uncomfortable discussions,
Yeah, well,
even if everyone else gangs up on you. I'm not saying you guys have been ganging up on me. I'm just saying you have to have those uncomfortable discussions.
I think this right here is informative, and this helps him with the feeling that he has. I don't know how he's gonna feel when he walk away from this conversation, but
I'm
yeah,
actually enjoying this conversation, especially with Russ.
it's a
I'm just
better
enjoying the conversation with what's happening.
you get
So
a better understanding. You know what I mean?
Right.
I have a question. Because I'm trying to fill out the conversation myself. So is it
Okay.
Cowboy's assertion that we do use it as a crutch, or like what?
I'm not. I'm not. No. 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 Yeah. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. Some people do use it as a crutch, and then some people they have there be a valid reason, but then some people they'll just constantly use it and use it and use it and use it and use it
I,
like
I,
every
I
chance they get.
I have a backup question to her question. So, are you saying slavery itself, or are you talking about racism?
Huh?
I said, are you talking about, because this says using slavery as a crutch? Are you saying that we as Black people use slavery as a crutch, or
Well,
more
no,
along the lines that we use
no. I
racism as a
added
No,
crutch?
no, no.
I
He
added
worded
that
it that way. I
because
was
I
saying,
mean, because I still think he don't understand that we live through institutional slavery. So when he said when a black person says they can't get this job, maybe they have a misdemeanor on their record, and no, they can't be denied for that job. But that white kid can go in there with a felony on their record, and he got that chance to get that job still over me. So when you hear a black person say, I know I can't get that job because on my record, not seeing him per se, but in general, I do know you got people out there that say, "See, look at him." You know what I'm saying? Using that the slavery or this the white man against them to get that job, just being lazy, not going in there and applying for that job. So I just want to put it in overall sense, not just his words. This is in general. I didn't been on here and heard it. I didn't heard this
yeah, no,
conversation
that
before.
wasn't my words. That
Yeah, that
what he
ain't his
typed up
words.
here.
That ain't
Yeah,
his
I
words. But in a general sense,
yeah.
that is just different views, and it's still institutional slavery. So, at the end of the day,
I
that's how I
say
get it.
that I think there's validity to why our people in America are where they are, and it is because of, as you said, institutional